Athletics HOPEYs podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt. I'm Sports Information Director at Hope College, where we believe intercollegiate sport is a powerful vehicle for education and personal development. The mission of Hope Athletics is to provide and promote programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experiences. Conversations with our student athletes, coaches, and staff on the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast spotlight their experiences with the Hope Athletics mission. Today's episode is also part of a special NCAA Division III week celebration across the nation. Division III week is a positive opportunity for all individuals associated with a Division III institution to observe and celebrate the impact of athletics and student athletes have on campus and in the surrounding community. Hope College is a proud Division III member dating back to 1973 when the organization was formed. With me today on the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast is Jerry Root, the 2025 recipient of the Hope for Humanity Award, which is presented to Hope College alumni athletes who have demonstrated Christian commitment and service to others in their careers after Hope. Jerry began ministering on campus in 2008 as a volunteer chaplain, including walking inside the faith journeys of our student athletes, coaches, and staff. He will be honored on campus on Monday, April 14th, before our annual HOPEYs celebration at DeVos Fieldhouse. Welcome to the Orange and Blue podcast, Jerry.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it.
The Hope for Humanity Award, you are joining a tremendous group of impactful honorees, and some that a lot probably and have met over your years here as a student and as a volunteer chaplain. What does the award mean to you?
Alan, my first response or reaction was I was just shocked because honestly, as I look at what I've done, I simply show up and hang with students. That was quickly followed by a deep sense of being humble and just honored and grateful for being selected, knowing that so I get to receive this award, but I am probably standing in the footsteps of so many other people who volunteer on this campus. And it's not just through athletics, it's in all departments. Uh, it's just a real honor to be selected, but I do recognize that there are so many others that could be up here receiving this award.
Let's dive into a little bit about your Hope story. You're a 1975 Hope alum. Tell us a little bit where you grew up and how you found Hope College as a place that you wanted to study.
Mhm. So I grew up in Jenison, and at that time, Jenison was pretty small, wasn't even on the map. In fact, I was in the second graduating class of Jenison, and we had a pretty successful basketball team. Our coach would say that we literally put Jenison on the map. But that propelled within me a desire to continue to play. I grew up in a pretty under-resourced family. Both parents were eighth grade educated. So this whole college thing was not a part of my normal experience. But I wanted to keep playing. And so my natural next step was to go play at a junior college. So I went to Grand Rapids Junior College, played for Coach Gene Paxton, a legend in his own right, and had a good career there. Was ready to transfer to Central Michigan University. I knew that I wanted to teach. I knew probably in a different order. I probably knew that I wanted to coach, and I thought in order to coach, I probably should be a teacher. That was the pattern at that point. But I had a couple of buddies who were attending Hope, and they basically pulled me aside one day and just said, "Hey, if you really want to keep playing basketball, because obviously I wasn't going to play at Central Michigan, you could play here." And so I suddenly began to reconsider. Uh, Reached out to Coach Russ DeVet, who wasn't necessarily big into recruiting at that time, but set up a time to visit and had a wonderful conversation with him. And before I knew it, somehow, some way, it all worked out. And I ended up at Hope College then as a junior transfer student, which was pretty unheard of. There had only been one other transfer student, I think, that I was aware of many years
Mm.
of Hope basketball. So this was kind of a unique deal. So that's how I ended up at Hope.
What did your time being here at the college and then playing on that basketball team, how did that transform your life?
Oh man, we so often hear that for Hope it's all about the people.
Mhm.
So I mentioned Russ DeVet. Glenn Van Wieren was a volunteer assistant
Mm.
my junior year. He had just graduated from Brigham Young University, and so he was Russ's assistant. But uh, those two coaches just took me under their wing. And then knowing that I was going into education, I had two professors in particular who just nurtured me and encouraged me. And those two professors were Dr. Lamont Dirksey
Mm.
and Dr. Carl Schakow. And I, I like to say to people that I don't know if I would have made it through Hope College without the support of those coaches, the support of those professors. And then I had a unbelievably beautiful connection with my roommate, who I had gone to high school with. He's a longtime pastor. His name is Scott Van Ostendorp, and Scott he would just be the sounding board that I needed at times, and just the encourager. And today we're still best of friends. So it's about the people, and I'm really grateful for my experience at Hope. It is about the people, and yeah,
And then you went on to continue that and pay back maybe some what you received a 33-year career in education. What tell us about that and what as you found you as you said mentioned earlier about being inspired to teach. Where did you teach at and what at that time? What did you learn from that time as an educator?
yeah,
Particularly because obviously you remain passionate about supporting young and teaching young people.
yeah. So I initially started teaching at the elementary level of Enralty School in the Holland Public School System, and I had the absolute perfect principal at that time, teaching fifth grade. He knew I wanted to coach, and he was more than willing to support me in that. He would fill in my classroom when I had to leave for an away game, um, and as I mentioned before, the idea at that time was I wanted to be a coach and then a teacher. But this principal, Lee Tinbrink, helped me understand the beauty of the classroom, and I fell in love with teaching. Uh, the fact that that time it was a self-contained classroom. I had 25 students. And so I would say I would pride myself on telling my friends that I am teaching kids subjects versus I'm teaching subjects to kids. There's a subtle but
Mhm.
important difference. And to see some of these students that I had way back in the day around town here, that's the beauty of living in the town that you teach in, uh, being able to reminisce about some of those days. But I guess basically the bigger picture was just knowing that people had invested in me as teachers and encouraged me, and I wanted to do the same thing. And to me, there's no greater purpose in being able to come alongside another person if they're having a great day to celebrate with them on that. If they're having a bad day, to be able to say, "Hey, you're going to be okay." You got people around you that will support you. So oh man, I just absolutely cherish my teaching career. It was one of just so many joys, not without frustrations for sure. But I really can honestly say that I just feel God kind of put me on that path, and I continued to coach. I coached a total of 30 years at the middle school level.
Yeah.
The last 5 years, I was coaching eighth grade B basketball, but I would get a couple of Hope students who would come and help me. And oh my gosh, The junior high kids just loved it, having those kids, those college kids around. I loved it. We have great competitions, horse competitions after practice, and yeah, so I do. I pinch myself that it was such a beautiful career. Yeah,
It seems there's correlation. Sometimes uh, sport and the Christian faith can seem butting heads with each other. That drive to win, and in events that the other person has to lose, and some of the negative things. But there's also a lot of positive things from conversations I've had and observed and experienced myself with that a healthy balance with the Christian faith and sport. For you, what have you learned about how sport can help us grow
yeah,
as Christians?
yeah. Being a college athlete's pretty challenging. The amount of time commitment, the discipline that's required. Uh, well, that certainly can lead into the Christian faith. What you put in,
Mhm.
sometimes you'll receive the benefit of that. But it does require discipline to pray, to read. I am so grateful for a group of guys that I meet with on a pretty regular basis, where it's just kind of guys getting together and talking about our faith journeys, and so uh, having a team around you, attending church, etc., would certainly be part of that. Um, I think of the basketball team in that season, and man, you come into January, February to embrace the grind.
Mhm.
I mean, the spiritual life sometimes it can be a grind,
Mhm.
and so I think there's great carryover with that. Um, Coming out of high school, going on to a college team, sometimes you've got to really swallow some pride and the ego and this whole idea of being humble and serving with humility, and uh, that can help you in your faith. This whole concept of you know adopting and embracing humility. It also gives you a unique platform. Some people would say that athletes have, they have a platform on a campus, and so to be able to articulate a faith that you have, you might have more opportunities than others. That may be debatable, but and then the last thing is obviously uh, one of my favorite Bible verses that I would share quite often is coming out of Colossians 1, verse 16, and it very simple scripture, but it talks about us being made by God and for God. And if you take both of those parts of those verses, were made by God. Our bodies are temples of God, and so it just so fits into the athletic life of
Mhm.
training and eating properly and so on and so forth. And then to be able to translate that into, okay, so I have this body, I have this platform, I have this message that I can share. Uh, it all really does mesh quite nicely. I don't know if I articulated that well, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, you did. The student athletes who compete at Hope College are discovering their potential, developing their passions, and dedicating themselves to academic success while preparing to contribute to society. They also compete alongside more than 206,000 student athletes at more than 420 Division III schools who play for the love of the game. Learn more about Division III at ncaa.org and learn more about our own student athletes at Hope College at athletics.hope.edu. The Orange and Blue Fund exists to support the Hope Athletics mission to promote and provide programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experience. Your gift provides opportunities for student athletes and coaches to participate in events and experiences that will transform how they view themselves and the world around them. The experiences your gifts provide will have a lasting and far reaching impact on their personal and professional development. Give online at hope.edu/orange and blue or contact our Philanthropy and Engagement Office at 616-395-7250. Now back to our conversation with Jerry Root, the 2025 Hope College Age Club Hope for Humanity Award recipient. And with that too, your career as educator and obviously coaching too, your eagerness to help others wasn't limited to that. I know, and wearing proudly a Young Life sweatshirt right now, the 70 by 7 recovery program, premarital counselor has been something that you've done over the years. Is it just something that as you were in your career and doing it, you just and found and enjoyed other opportunities to walk with people and
Yeah,
help them through times, whether it was joyous times or times where they were grinding?
right. I would say that I'm going to just start by uh, loving on my mother.
Yeah.
My mother lived to the ripe old age of 93, and uh, she modeled for me so well what it means to love people. I always called her the Mother Teresa of Jenison. People were just drawn to her because of her kindness. And I remember at her funeral, somebody came up and said, you know, any conversation I had with your mother, I could come in and having had the worst day of my life. But by the time I got done with your mother, I was walking out feeling like $100. And so that's, I think, has had a tremendous impact on me. I love people. I find people so intriguing.
Yeah.
There are so many stories. And, you know, I think that's the challenge for what I do with athletes is, yes, I want to know about their athletic experience here. But in many respects, that's just a small part of who they are. I'll go that way for a while, but I get a little tired of it.
Yeah.
I want to know what makes them, you know, go, what fires them up, and what are their challenges, what are their joys, and what are their future aspirations. So I genuinely do love having conversation with people. And Ellen, you and I have had
Yeah.
conversations
Yes, we
watching
have.
the soccer game.
Yeah.
You know, this fall was a good example of that. But so I, you know, in some respects, I guess I am an extrovert. In other respects, I'm an introvert. I need my man cave time. But if I can be in front of a human being, uh, I want to know who they are. I want to know. I want to look deep into their soul. Now, you got to earn your right
Yeah.
to get
No.
there, right? Which that was what Young Life really did teach me.
Mhm.
Incarnational ministry, you go to where they are. You don't throw the Jesus card on them right away, but ultimately, the mission of Young Life was you. They exist to introduce people to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. And I would say that that has just that's what trained me in relational ministry. That's probably at the heart and soul of what I want to do. Uh, but I got to earn the right to get there to have those conversations, and they have happened at Hope College. I can. You want to hear a quick story of
Oh,
this?
absolutely.
All right, so this kind of goes way back to when I first started. Paul Boersma called me up one day and just said, "Hey, I got a guy that's he just wants some older guy to walk with him." I was teaching at the time. I think I was coaching, heavily involved in church and family, all this kind of stuff. I had no business saying yes, and I was doing Young Life at the time. But I said, "Okay, I'll give it a try." And this guy had written an email to Paul, basically saying, "Look, I'd like to meet with somebody. And it's not that I'm struggling with my faith, it's just that I don't even have one."
Hmm.
And Paul Boersma entrusted me with this guy, this basketball player. In fact, I played golf with him last week or last summer, and I was just invited to his wedding.
Hmm.
So we started that conversation, and all of a sudden, the everything just opened up. I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, these college kids are just like you and me.
Yeah.
They're humans, but they ask such big questions, and even though high school students do this well, it was different than what I had been experiencing at Young Life. So I continued on with Young Life for a few years,
Yeah.
and then at one point I transitioned into once I retired,
Yeah.
I just said to Paul, use me. And, and he basically said, all right. He says, I can't pay you, but I can give you a parking pass. I can give you an email account, and you can turn some receipts in every once in a while. And that really is how it all got started.
Yeah.
Uh, oh man, the stories have been really amazing. So I've been doing the Hope thing for 17 years. I did Young Life for 14.
Yeah.
So
Have you found over time, obviously, life is different now, but in some ways the same as it was when you started this, especially with Hope Athlete. Are the challenges that the student athletes faced the same or similar to what those, you know, before them have walked through, or are there new ones that are
yeah,
challenging their faith and making it, making it harder that they have to navigate that's maybe unique to them? I'm sure maybe there's probably a mix of both.
yeah, that's a good question. In many respects, it's the same.
Yeah.
Uh, the pressure to win, the pressure to excel, the transition from being top dog in high school to maybe not even seeing the floor or the field. Those are big, big adjustments. So that's always been the case. I think it always will be. I think the challenges the athletes are really facing today is these seasons just seem to be getting longer and
Mhm.
longer.
Yeah.
More games, more expectations to do all the preseason things, which really wears on their bodies.
And they've probably been playing for longer too,
Right, right.
with youth growing up.
So, and then, we don't need to get into the whole NIL transfer portal stuff. I mean, the realization is that this is D3,
Yeah.
and yet the opportunities are there to if things aren't working out, we're going to transfer. So that has changed since when I first started, and it's both not only for the players but also for the coaches, right? And so we're at Hope College. We expect excellence. We expect to win, and
Yeah.
so there's pressure on the athletes. There's pressure on the coaches. Uh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine, is connecting as you have over the years, is it the same thing with coaches? It's you got to get to know them and build that rapport up as you do with student athletes? Because obviously, I know you've had conversations with coaches and athletic staff during your time in this role. Just is that kind of that same thing, just building that, getting to know them and finding out where they're at and what they need
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
moment?
yeah. One of the greatest blessings I had in my time, especially with campus ministry, was there was a 3-year period of time where Borsma asked me to help till the soil for this position of chaplain of athletics that
Mhm.
Matt Margarone has today. And here I am, a volunteer.
Yeah.
I had a little stipend behind the scenes, but spending about 20 hours a week, and quickly realized, oh my gosh, we have all these teams, we have 600 athletes, and you're telling me, go try to promote some energy toward this position of chaplain of athletics. And I actually said this to Scooney. I had breakfast with Scooney this morning that the highlight for me with that was being allowed into the coaches' offices and beginning to develop a relationship with them. But the highlight was always at the very end of the conversation, asking them, Coach, can I pray for you? And how is it that you would like me to pray for you? And of course, again, that it takes some time to get to that point, but uh, every one of those coaches welcomed that, and so it was a great joy to have the privilege of getting to know them. So even to this day, even though I'm not in that role any longer, those were really really cool experiences. So
There might be someone listening today, whether it's a current Hope student athlete or someone considering a Hope or just that's on their discovery path of Division III, and they're feeling that calling for coaching and maybe something a little bit more. Just lastly, as we wrap up here, what advice would you give to someone who maybe wants to try to be someone who serves and walks with others like you have, and wants to have a rewarding, career and connection with people? To get started in that, how would you encourage them to discover and find that path for them to make it happen? After obviously you found that as well with, as you mentioned before, people who helped you, and then some divine help
yeah,
always.
big question. I would just encourage them to, uh, as I often remind myself that I I love to do the one-on-one conversation. I spend way too much time at Windmill Restaurant, way too much time at Crust 54. Got to watch my waistline. But to sit across the table from somebody, looking into their eyes, and reminding myself that this is an image bearer of God,
Mhm.
and they could be choosing behaviors that are really, really off the chart, just weird or wacko or needing to be corrected. The ability to offer them grace is there. I'm not really answering your question
Yeah.
there. The advice would be just to look at uh, your role in God's kingdom. Going back to that verse, you've been created by God and you've been created for God. And so to be able to seize the moment, to be able to look at the person and say, hey, how can I support you? How can I encourage you? How can I encourage you to maybe see a bigger picture, 30,000 feet, rather than just day-to-day survival? That you have the opportunity to be a participant in that kingdom for to bring glory to God. And uh, so it's not rocket science,
No.
Alan. It
Yeah.
really isn't. It's just a matter of in fact, I'd probably leave it this way. I would say uh, sometimes I think at this college level, you're having to make an impression, and one of those ways is to try to really be interesting. Well, I don't think I'm a very interesting person in a way, but be interested. And I think that I was taught that by my mother. Be interested in another human being and watch where that goes. And then secondly, uh, develop the art of asking questions. Again, got to earn your right to get to those deeper questions, but listen really carefully and then ask for clarification and see where that conversation goes. So rather than focus on being so interesting, be who you are, just be genuine, just be who you are, and then be interested in another human being. And for athletes in particular, my encouragement and suggestion, this is going off your question here,
Yeah.
is to reach out beyond just your teammates. Go and make friends while you're here at Hope College with other groups of people, and then take advantage of those professors who want to pour into you. Okay, maybe I'll even then say for us volunteers, take advantage of people who are offering the opportunity to sit down with coffee and or a lunch or breakfast, and many of us are in our second half of life.
Yeah.
We may not have all the answers, but we've lived life. And so I'm kind of rambling now, but I cannot imagine what my retirement years would have been like if I hadn't had the opportunity to do Young Life before I retired, but upon retirement, the opportunity to be involved here at Hope College. It has, I pinch myself. I get to do this. And so I am so grateful to Paul Borsman. I'm so grateful to Tim Schoonville for trusting me. And then I'm grateful to the coaches, and I'm grateful to the athletes who take the risk of letting this old man a little bit into their life. So I have been just so blessed by this. So going back to your hope for humanity, oh my goodness, I haven't started a school. I haven't started a hospital. All I've done is shown up. And I think our world just is desperate for a deep relationship with other people. Too much of it is pretty shallow for many.
Yeah.
So I better stop right there.
Well, no, I mean, be interested in other God's children, I think is a good, um, challenge isn't the right word that I want to say, but a kind of goal for all of us, or an aspiration is maybe the best. I think that is certainly something we all, college students or those longer away from college. So we encourage everyone, and I myself will think about that from Jerry's wise words
Hmm.
now. And thank you, Jerry, for joining us on the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. I can't wait for Hopies. It's always a great night, and it's gonna be great to have the honor. And I know your family's proud. Your wife Dana and your three children. Two of them are Hope alums as well. We'll enjoy that. And thank you everyone for listening to today's Orange and Blue podcast episode. And again, part of the celebration of Division III week. Hope College has been proud members of Division III since 1973 when the organization founded. And then if you have a minute, feel free to give us 5 stars on your podcast provider and share the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast with family and friends. And everyone have a great evening.